Welcome to Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. In the next half hour, you'll obtain insights and tools to transform your life using the biblical principles found in the 12-step program. We believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience because we all have struggles in life. Struggles with addictions, food, depression, anxiety, and relationships, to name a few. You'll be encouraged to see how others have found a new way of life with hope for the future through life recovery. Your host is Steve Arterburn, founder of New Life Ministries and Women of Faith, author of over 100 books, and a sought-after speaker and teacher. Steve is the co-editor of the Life Recovery Bible, the #1 selling recovery Bible. With over 3 million copies sold, this is the Bible given to inmates by Prison Fellowship and the Pew Bible for the Salvation Army. Now here's Steve.
Hello, welcome to Life Recovery Today. I'm Becky Brown, and I am so excited for you to join us in this episode. We're going to be talking about recovery in all different forms. Recovery is something that will change everything about our lives, but that's the good news because we want change if we're seeking recovery. And surrendering to that process is part of the change that will take getting used to. We're going to be connected to God, with others, and a process to move forward in our freedom. On today's show, Steve is going to be sharing about relapse prevention and the power of a plan. It's one of my favorite talks that he has given over the years, and I think that you are going to find that relapse prevention may start sooner than you think. Let's learn about the power of a coach in working your recovery plan.
Everything that we're doing in life recovery coaching really is all about relapse prevention. The deeper my growth program, the richer my spiritual life, the less likely that I'm going to be relapsing. So it all works together to help prevent relapse. But we're going to be extremely specific in relation to relapse. And the second part of this is all about you having your own plan that you give somebody, what you believe is important, that you would share with them. This part, coaching is many things. And I think it's many more things than a lot of people think it is. And I think it's much deeper and richer than let's set some goals and see how we can hit them. But in this case, one of the features of coaching, I think everybody would agree on, is that we want to help people succeed. We want to help them to be successful with meaning and purpose. We want them to be connected successfully with other people. And essentially, we are helping them planning not to fail the rest of their life and have a future that they would desire. So in recovery coaching, of course, our big focus on not failing is whatever got you in trouble, let's eliminate that, and let's use eliminating that as an excuse for going deeper, richer, maybe even becoming one of the more powerful people in the world, because this struggle has led us to insight, wisdom, and growth. That is the goal when I'm coaching somebody that has any kind of problem that needs recovery. And of course, recovery is for everybody. So when people relapse, in different worlds, they call that different things. Some call it a setback. Some call it a slip. And in the Christian world, many times it's called backsliding. But it's all about relapse. No matter what you call it, it's a step back into the problem or veering back the direction of destruction versus growth and connection with God and others in a healthy way. And so anytime we see somebody moving toward that, whatever it was that produced pain after pain, pain upon pain, within themselves, the people they work with, the people that love them. Anytime that we see that, we want to be able to move to help coach them back on a different path. Now, I want to be sure that this person knows that everybody relapses. Everybody has setbacks, some big, some not so big. And the question is, what do we do with it? Paul, the Apostle Paul said, the very thing I want to do, I just can't. The very thing I don't want to do, I end up doing it anyway. And so if that's true, those would be little setbacks, little relapses in his life, then it's a common situation. Now, it varies. The consequence or the dilemma varies on whatever it is that I relapse back to. Let's say that I have an eating problem. And part of my plan is just I need to avoid sugar altogether because I'm addicted to sugar. Well, if I relapse one day and I have some chocolate ice cream, and I know that sugar kind of puts me into the throes of all sorts of obsessions and compulsions and all that, then I need to jump right back into recovery, get back on my plan as quickly as possible. The consequences of that are not that serious if I'll respond to the little bitty relapse there. But if it's fentanyl and I'm relapsing back into fentanyl, of course, that could lead to death pretty quickly in this day and age when so much of fentanyl coming across the border, you have no idea what it is, where it came from, what's the strength, nothing. I mean, it's really quite disastrous what's going on. So we want to be sure that whether it's sugar or fentanyl, we get people right back on track. We help them get back on track as soon as possible. That's what a great coach does. And as I've said before, there are a lot of people that you will never meet that are counting on you to be a great coach. Now, if we do some of the things that I've already talked about, we've got a what if clause in place on the plan. Whatever plan you create for them, specifically what you think is important, it has to have that what if clause. And so when I recognize that this person is either in the first stage of relapse, which would be complacency, they're not going to meetings, they're not getting assistance, they quit counseling, quit therapy, all those kinds of things. When I see that, I need to be talking to them about that. And if it progresses to now they're using or abusing again, I like to say using, boozing, abusing, or refusing to look at themselves, move forward, do anything good. If that's what I see, then that what if clause allows me to say, hey, Bob, when we started working together in your recovery, that plan I gave you had that what if clause. And in there, you gave me permission to tell you that I'm worried about the progress you're making. You gave me permission to actually contact your sponsor and say, hey, let's figure out how we can help here. And I really feel like that's where you are today. And so what I want to ask you is, what's causing you to no longer do what you said you were going to do? I'm going to have that conversation. It's not a confrontation, it's a conversation. I want to talk to this person about it. What is it that has led to this point? And I'm going to ask them if they would resist or allow me to tell them if I feel like they're rationalizing or resisting the truth, or perhaps they're projecting something onto another people. These are the things that keep us stuck. Or if I sense there's some manipulation, distortion, or I feel and see and sense very intense deregulation. I just know that they are furious, or I know that the depression, it just seems like they have sunk down deeply into it. So I want to be able to communicate these things. Let's talk about this because this is what I'm seeing. And based on the what if clause, we need to be talking about this. And so don't rationalize, don't resist, don't project, manipulate, and please, don't try to distort. Let's just talk about what is real. Now, one of the first things that I need to deal with is, we want a person to create a recovery tribe. We want them to be connected deeply and richly with other people that are in their tribe. Sponsor, counselor, friends, men's Bible study guys, women's Bible study guys, book leader people that are helping you go through some great literature, things like that. So I want to ask them about those tribes or the tribe that they've formed. What's going on there? What happened? Maybe there was a disappointment. Maybe there was some problem that they have not found a way to get over. That might be the first thing that I would want to explore with them. How'd we get here? Was there somebody in this recovery tribe that caused a problem and you need some help with that? Sometimes it's as simple as I was going to this recovery group and then this new person joined and they were so obnoxious and so ridiculous, and one of them even said to me something that I couldn't stand, and I haven't gotten over that anger. Well, at least we know what it is, but I want to explore that. And then to be sure, I want them to repair in this recovery process, repair damage done. I want them restoring the sobriety that they had. Then that's going to lead to them reclaiming the calling that they have from God, that maybe they were just about to live into it. But I want to get them back on that track to moving toward restoration, repair, and restoring that calling. Now, I want to get into the specifics of a plan that's going to lower the risk of a person relapsing, and a plan that's going to increase the strength, the connection, the bonds that could help them continue to move forward. So, here's what I like to see in a plan. You're going to hand this person, or you're going to email this person a plan, and you're going to ask them to fill it out. So here's a great place to start. First of all, in the introduction of your plan, you might want to mention something like, this is a plan for preventing relapse. I would like to challenge you to enter into this plan with no rationalization of whatever has happened, no projection onto any any other person, and no distortion. So if recovery is an honesty program, this is the place to really be honest as we work on this plan. So here's what I'd like to see in the beginning of the plan. Here's how I got into trouble. Now that is just an open question, and it'll be interesting to see where that person starts. But what I'm really interested in is, no matter how I was raised, what did I do in reaction to that? How did I start to veer off the path? Was it that I just didn't want anybody telling me what to do? So anything somebody said to do, I just naturally wanted to do the opposite thing. Maybe it was, everything was going along great until I met my friend Bucky, and Bucky just took me in the worst places ever. That's how I started to get in trouble. Or maybe I was curious how that would feel, what that would do. So a lot of different ways that a person could answer how they got into trouble. But it's really a great place to start, where they're hopefully in a good frame of mind telling you, this is how I thought it all began. Now, second part, I'd like to see them write, the moment of truth was when. So everybody that is in recovery, you have this moment of truth, whether it's moment of truth that I want to change everything in my life, or a moment of truth that I have to stop doing something, or moment of truth that, I'm not ready to totally surrender everything, but I will engage in the form of surrender that's called compliance. So I'm going to comply with what somebody else says I need to do. That would be best for me. So what was that moment of truth? What was it that happened? Was it you got caught? Was it you went to church and heard a sermon and it convicted you and you felt horrible and decided to change? What was the moment of truth? Maybe someone would say, I never thought about that. I just kind of eased into recovery. Well, it'd be good to think about that. Now, next on my relapse prevention plan, I want them to write down, here are some things I have learned in the recovery process. So whether they have been in treatment or they went to one meeting, I want them to write down, what is it that they've learned? What is the thing that stands out the most? And it might be nothing more than, I have an extreme limitation, which I think is one of the greatest things that anybody can learn. That while other people are doing things and they seem to be doing just fine with them, I can't. I have an extreme limitation. So what are some things I've learned? And the deeper, the richer, the better. Now, here, the next segment, I'd like them to write down, here are some principles that will help me stay on track. So what do they at this point think is helpful? But hopefully they're going to talk about redemptive relationship, connection. They're going to talk about working a program, not just knowing things. I would hope they'd talk about developing that healing recovery tribe and doing the best that they can to be part of that tribe, a great member of that tribe. So I just want to know whatever it is that they not have just learned, but things that they think are going to keep me on track. Now, here's the next thing. Who in the world do I think are going to help me, strengthen me, provide structure, a safe place for me? Who are those people? And I want to know specifically, and a lot of times there's no one, not a person there. And so we have to go from a real live person to, I need to get a sponsor if I'm going to have somebody to help me and strengthen me. I might need, in addition to a sponsor and a coach, a therapist. Write them down. Who is it are you going to call on that will help you and strengthen you and build you up? Now, I also would like to see, and this is where I'd like to see some names, a list of people. Who are the people that are likely to do just the opposite? But who are those people that might drag me into something? The people that I might be so influenced by, that might literally want to take over control of every aspect of what I'm doing. Write them down. And then the next section, what emotions have been most troubling for me? Now, someone might say, well, it's anger, it's fear, it's depression, sadness, many emotions. But usually you can help a person kind of tap into one specific base emotion, where it's more about fear than anything else, or it's more about resentment, bitterness, and anger, or it's more about disappointment, sadness, and depression. So write those feelings, and the more specific they can be, the better. But they'd be saying, these are the feelings that are troubling to me, that often will trigger me into relapse, or most likely trigger me into relapse, and cause me to want some kind of relief, some kind of something that's going to make me feel better. So what are those feelings? Also, what are some thoughts that I start to have. I mean, thoughts, distorted thinking, could be a horrific ushering in of untruth, distortion that leads me to relapse. For instance, if I start to think, well, it wasn't that bad. If I start to think I've got it under control. You understand what I'm talking about there. We want truth, things that are good, pure, noble, to be the thoughts. And when they get off track, then we have to reach out and find those strength-building folks that we know care about me. And so I have to care about myself enough that I'm going to reach out to those people when the troubling thoughts come. Now, I get triggered, and then I get back into whatever was troubling me or caused me trouble. What are the options of a setback or a relapse? Rather than feel this and go that way, what are my alternatives? You know, one alternative is to get out of the house and run. Just run or walk swiftly. Just change the setting completely rather than sit there with the telephone, the TV, any screens that could lead me down the wrong path, whatever it is. And then I have to have a place where it asks the person, who are you going to call? When you are troubled, who do you have that you're going to call? Now, hopefully, you've got a sponsor in addition to the coach. And so you want to be sure every person in recovery has a quote-unquote sponsor. If it's a person with alcohol and drug addiction, sponsor is an easy concept. If it's something else, the sponsor could be the mentor. Could have a different term, but the function is sponsoring them, helping them, challenging them, being in contact with them all the time. All right, so I want my plan especially to cover structure, because structure, healthy relationships, community, that's good. Structure is also good. So I need them to write down, what is the day going to look like? How am I going to start it? Am I going to start it with the Bible, God's truth? Am I going to include a devotional reading or some kind of recovery-oriented devotional? Like in the Life Recovery Bible, you've got a whole stream of devotions that are a great way. The 1-year Bible for men, 1-year Bible for women, a way to get into the Scripture. So that's how I want to start my day. Now, the next thing is today. What connections am I going to make during the day? And when am I going to make those connections? So is it 7 p.m. I call the sponsor, or maybe it's 7 a.m. Maybe there is a meeting today that I've committed to go to. What time? I set time, I make that meeting. Also, what am I going to do today? We'll just say in the area of wholeness. What is it that I'm going to do about my diet that could be better than worse? Things I consume. What am I going to do about fitness? You know, everybody, I think this is true, everybody has 10 minutes to move. You can be late 10 minutes and people still think you're on time. So 10 minutes, I'm going to commit to moving this body however I best can move it. If it's just simply taking a walk, I'm going to take that walk. If it's lifting weights, then boom, I'm going to get in there and lift weights. That needs to be a plan. When am I going to do it? Where am I going to do it? And how am I going to have this diet that is, it's going to help me rather than hurt me. It's not going to spike my blood sugar level or whatever. It's not going to starve me. How am I going to do this? That needs to be part of the plan. And then here's what I really want to see in a plan. I want to see the inspiration for this person to deepen their connection with God, to deepen their connection with their family members, and to enrich their connection with people that they work with. And that inspiration to do that might be easy if I have this person or ask them to write down a few engagement questions. How you doing? And then the person says, fine. Then you might say, anything that you're struggling with that I could help with? Or what's been on your mind lately? Or anything about what's going on in the world worry you more than something else? Or, hey, I was shocked by what I saw on the news or came through my feed. What do you think about that? So if I'm going to have a good, rich life, it's got to be a connected life. So I need to connect with God, family members, people I work with. And just having a list of engagement questions that I can just fall back into can be helpful. And then, I talk about coaching being so much more than just setting goals and how do we get there. So rather than say, what are your goals? I like to say, what is the vision? So I want them to write down under the vision section, here is what I see my life looking like 6 months from now. I see this. And it might be less craving, whatever. Here's where I want to be in a year. And then I'm going to take the time to look forward to 5 years from now. Here's what I'd like to see. All right, so all of these elements can be put into a plan. But it's not going to be a very good plan if you don't make your own plan. And now you're helping that person follow the plan that has the elements you think are important. Write down the plan. What do you think would be on a plan? How much space would you leave? And develop that plan that you're going to use anytime you're coaching somebody in the area of recovery. And I'll see you next time. We've got another session on relapse, and I'll see you then for that session.
Welcome back. See, I told you that was a great talk. We can learn so much through the power of a coach in our relapse prevention plan. The power of a recovery coach in our plan makes all the difference in our journey forward to freedom. And we want to help you find that connection. And if you'd like to learn more about how a coach can help you in your recovery, call us. 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We've got people all over the country that are recovery coaches that know how to work this plan. We are so grateful that you join us every week, and we hope that you will join us next week here on Life Recovery Today. Share it with somebody. It may make all the difference in their life.
Thanks for joining us for Life Recovery Today with Stephen Arterburn. We hope this program has helped you integrate God's truth and wisdom into your recovery journey. This program is brought to you by New Life Ministries, and it's your support that keeps this program on the air. When you contact us for any reason, be sure to let us know that you watch on NRB. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or go to liferecoverytoday.net. Please join us again next week for more Life Recovery Today.